minute, fella. Look here.
Stand by.
One for C-Lab, two for Draw Eagle, three for Wolverine to round out the trio. In this episode, everybody dies.
Broadcasting live from inside the Power Band, this is The Blah. In this episode, everybody dies. I'm your host, the Wolverine, along with my single companion, Chad Lab Higo.
Single and looking to mingle. What's up?
Oh my God.
Not actually single. Fuck off.
Welcome to the show, folks. This week, Chad and I are doing yet another Two for Her Watch show as Benny is away doing important show business overseas.
He has left Verde.
And we will... He left Verde, and we will be talking about the 1990 classic Miller's Crossing, directed by Joel and Ethan Coen and starring all the people that they always put in their movies.
Starring everyone.
Let's start the show. High level.
This was a C-Lab pick. I picked this one. We've talked about it many a time. I've always felt that it fits exactly into your wheelhouse of movies that you kind of dig.
Totally.
For me, it's a legendary flick, so curious to hear. One, if you said you had seen it before, but it's been a while, so confirming that, and then two, how you felt about it.
Don't remember any of it, so I'm glad that I watched it again. It was like a fresh watch. I didn't remember shit, so it was really good to watch it again. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Definitely going to watch it again, for sure. I love period piece movies. I love movies that are ambiguous in terms of their locale, and this movie is as such. So I really like that a lot. Also, this movie was a bomb at the box office.
Yeah.
15-ish million budget. It made $5 million. Like, I can't believe this movie didn't do anything because it's excellent.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I could see how it, like, we'll get, I'm sure it's probably the next topic, but the dialogue is so period specific that I could see it being a kind of broader audience turnoff and more of an, film buff attraction. So maybe that was part of it. I mean, this is like coming after Raising Arizona, which I don't know how that did in the box office, but it's like a beloved Coen Brothers flick that's a lot more fun. So maybe there's a bit of that too. But
let's have a quick look.
Because like their debut was Blood Simple, which is pretty good, but I mean, Raising Arizona is like broadly beloved as a cult classic.
Wow, I didn't realize that they started out, or Joel did, as an editor.
Yeah.
And did some of the editing on Evil Dead. Yeah, Sam Raimi's Evil Dead. Yeah.
So $6 million budget on a 23 million gross. So Raising Arizona did quite well, for example. Yeah, I don't know. I could see how this wouldn't do well. Like, this seems like I don't know. It's very Joel and Ethan Coen, like, no doubt about it. But it seems like a Nolan kind of movie or just a movie that, like, certain people are going to love, but most people aren't going to give a shit, Batman's not in it, so, like, it's not going to be a blockbuster. You know what I mean? Like, because, like, Nolan shit that's not Batman, like, is generally loved, but it's also, like, there's a lot of haters, too, People are like, I don't fucking understand Inception, man. Like, what the fuck? It's just like, dude, it's a good movie. What are you talking about?
It's because you're too stupid.
Yeah, so it's just, not broad mass appeal, I guess. It's not a fucking Marvel flick.
Right.
Yeah, high level for me on this watch, I fell victim to the, like, procrastination game where I was like, oh, I'll wait and maybe I'll watch it with M and, like, that'll be nice. And then it's, like, 9 o'clock at night, the night before the show, and I'm just like, fuck. I gotta grind this movie out now. So like, I think it kind of fucked with my enjoyment a little bit because like this movie is legendary for me, and I think like it proves the hypothesis that like doing a podcast on a movie totally changes the way you experience a movie or a show.
No question.
And so I'm just like gonna leave my my attitude last night at the door because I think it being legendary remains the same. I'm gonna keep it in the same place on the algo and totally. Like. To segue into maybe that dialogue thing, like the dialogue in this movie is just fucking out of this world. Like it's like 11 out of 10 screenwriting, like, you know, a screenplay is 11 out of 10, the dialogue is 11 out of 10, the fucking delivery is amazing. It's just fucking unbelievably good dialogue. It's lyrical. So that's a huge it's a huge plus, and it's delightful to listen to.
Absolutely. Don't say delightful anymore.
Delight.
I agree with everything you said. This is, I mean, not a legendary movie for me, but I would say if I had kind of latched onto it, it would be a legendary movie for me, probably.
Yeah.
I was watching LA Confidential the other night, which is a legendary movie for me, and, you know, very
it's the inverse
similar.
for me, I think.
Yeah, like it's a period piece, great dialogue, like the whole thing. The story's excellent. It was adapted from a novel, and they actually did a good job with it. So yeah, I really, the dialogue was fantastic. The costumes were excellent. The setting, the acting, like just the feel of the period was spot on. You know,
Yeah.
in terms of just, you know, the technology of the time and the way things worked, and this, that, and the third, the cars, whatever.
Yeah.
But kind of interesting to me that there was sort of like no music in the movie.
Yeah, I had forgotten
virtually none whatsoever. It was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So it made it kind of go more like a stage play somewhat.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
You know, and I think, no, it was just, it was really, really good. It's a great story too, man. You know, it's like I didn't see that end coming at all, actually. So.
Neither did the Coens, evidently.
Yeah, right. Oh, wait, what do you mean?
I never, as we do, a lot of times I watch movies and enjoy movies, but never really read about them. And now I read about everything that we do just because, you know, want to be informed enough to bring something interesting to the table. And evidently, the Coens don't map out their stories at all, which very much aligns with Miyazaki, which evidently, like, they make it up as they go along. And so the writing process for the Coens evidently is they just write a scene that they think is interesting, and then they'll write another scene, and they'll write another scene, and then until they have kind of a pastiche of scenes, and then that's their first draft, and then they rewrite and hone the shit out of it. And they don't necessarily know where the story's going, you know? So it seems quite different than, you know, many of the classic kind of, I don't know, ideas. And I like the idea that they don't know where the story's going to end up, and evidently they get writer's block halfway through most of their movies. And so halfway through this movie, they got writer's block and wrote Barton Fink. And halfway through writing Barton Fink, they got writer's block and wrote the first 60 pages of Lebowski. So they just seem to like just kind of jump around, you know, as writers until these things kind of take shape, and then they hone and refine the hell out of them. And so it's just an interesting style. I'd never really known that about their style. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Because I know they're like super, you know, they put in the work to find the specific dialogue of the period. Like, one of the things that attracts me most about their movies is all of them are super accurate, or seemingly so at least, super accurate to the locale, you know, like all of the like oh yeahs in like fucking Fargo and stuff, and then all of the, you know, all of the flapper 1920s Prohibition era dialogue here, and you know, like this, they really do seem to research the hell out of the stuff once they've got that first draft. So
right.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. I think all of that stuff you described is very much how I kind of go about things creatively as well. I would totally do the same exact thing. I would just start writing like a bunch of cool shit, and then I'd be like, dude, just that, get distracted and go off on some tangent, man. Yeah, it's kind of like how I do the show. So
yeah,
you know, whatever, man. I think that's really interesting stuff for sure.
For me, I don't really do the creative writing stuff, screenplay stuff. I've never done it before. And same with like art, you know, like pictures and stuff. Like, I get very like clean page, don't know what to fucking do, you know? And so I just, the idea of just like writing interesting shit and then sticking it all together later and then refining it is interesting, because I would just look at the page and be like, okay, well, this is the beginning and the middle and the end, and then I'm going to write it, you know? And it's just like, that's not, it's not how it works.
Sometimes
maybe
it is, sometimes it's not. Yeah.
But it was, you know, hearing that Miyazaki did the same thing, where he's like 700,000 drawings into his movie, and he's like, I don't know what I'm doing here, so let's have it fucking cat be a bus with headlight eyes. It's like, okay, man. I just think it's funny, I love it. I love that he's that far into it,
Yeah, I never would have guessed that about him. So
yeah.
It's sort of encouraging to hear that for myself anyway.
But I mean, I don't know. This movie's a little bit less well known, so maybe if I might interject with a very brief synopsis, which we haven't done in like 150 episodes.
Wow. All right. Let me settle in. Go ahead.
This is like a super quick one. I think it's just like, it's a Prohibition era gangstery kind of flick. So it fits the gangstery tropes, but it's set in New York with like Irish gangsters, which is a little bit novel. I mean, at least it was at the time.
Sort of.
And it's, maybe for me, it was like all Italian gangsters all the time at this stage. And like, this is, a little bit before a lot of the Irish stuff had really been made aware to me, at least.
Yeah, but it's refreshing in that respect. Yeah.
A little refreshing. Yeah, exactly.
It's refreshing. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got, an Irish gangster and an Italian gangster, and they're fighting for turf. And the main character here is like a lackey to the Irish guy. And it's a series of twists and turns and love interests and kind of noir-esque stuff going on. And, it's set in the setting that you would imagine. That seems pretty accurate. But as mentioned, the dialogue is really the highlight. And the twists and turns are really unexpected. There's a lot of really strong performances. And so, if you're into Prohibition era shit and you're into gangstery shit and you're into really solid screenwriting, then this is the movie for you. And that's my sales pitch.
Great synopsis, Chad. Great.
There's no need to go into super great detail, but
no, you did fine.
You did good, kid.
So, good job. And
thanks, man.
Thanks. So that being said, I mean, really at its core, it's sort of I wouldn't really say a gangster movie isn't exactly right. I mean,
it's like a twisty betrayal, backstabby.
Well, thriller is really kind of more of a thriller,
Yeah.
But there's so many twists and turns in this that honestly, until I got to like the 50 to a 60-minute mark in the movie, I was just like, what? I said out loud, I was like, the fuck is going on in this movie, man? I couldn't figure it out. You know what I mean? And I was getting distracted because I actually watched it tonight, right before we started out because I had the time. So I was having trouble, kind of following it and figuring out what the hell was going on. And then I don't know, somewhere around that hour mark, it all just started to coalesce for me. I was like, oh, okay, this guy's that guy. Oh, okay, this guy's that guy. Oh, okay, this is what's going on here. So
yeah,
it was good. And then I was just like, I was like super into it and really, really focused, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I was like, dying to see what was going to happen at the end. So
yeah,
really good.
Yeah, I feel like I don't remember my first watch of this, but I imagine very similarly, like being in the deep end of the pool, and that it kind of coalesces because like the dialogue, while it's really the highlight of the movie for me, it's so nonstop. Like they're just hammering you with the quantity of dialogue, like a scene is just like a back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and sarcasm.
So rich with
dialogue. So much of it that you're just like, trying to keep up with how it is part of the plot, like what is actually being driven forward, because you could probably snip each scene down to about half as much dialogue and you'd get the same story, but it's not the same storytelling, it's not.
Yes.
It's not as enjoyable because it's so quippy. And like, I don't know. I know I'm hammering on it, but like, I just love the sarcasm and the like sassiness of a lot of the dialogue, but it is using 1920 sarcasm and 1920s words. So it's just like, I don't know. It's my favorite word. It's delightful to experience. Like, I don't know. It's kind of like hearing words you've never heard before. It's like a fresh, fresh joke or a fresh take.
Sure.
And so just like they're sitting there just talking mad smack to each other and using all these crazy ass words, and it's just like, I don't know, very lyrical. It's very fun to experience. It's almost,
is.
I mean, I'm got my head up my ass here, but it's like, it's almost Shakespearean in the sense that like Shakespeare, you have no fucking idea what they're talking about a lot of the time, but it's just like, oh, it's just got an interesting lilt to it or something. I don't know.
No, it's 100% like that, man. It's 100% Shakespearean. It's very, very cool like that. And quippy, while I understand that term, I don't feel like it quite fits. Like, it's quippy in the sense of the speed and the back and forth, but like quippy tends to be like, I mean, there's plenty of quips in this, but like there's a richness to the quality of the dialogue, I think, that kind of takes it a little bit above that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And maybe it's like the dialogue or screenwriting in this kind of space is usually so like takes itself so seriously, maybe that the quippiness just like adds. It's just like it's like putting salt in chocolate chip cookies. You're like, it doesn't seem like it's a good idea, but like it makes it's like a little bit of salt in the dough makes a huge difference.
Really?
Like it's an unexpected thing. Yeah. It actually like it's So like
let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
So I don't know. I mean, there's just like I can't remember the exact phrasing, but later on in the movie, Verna Marcia Gay Harden approaches Gabriel Byrne's character after finding out that he killed her brother, and she confronts him, and she's like, what are you up to? And he's like, walking. He's like, oh, don't give away too much, and he's like, in the rain. Like it's just so quippy.
Yeah. Fair.
There's
okay,
so
fair.
much of that little like fuck you-edness and sarcasm to Gabriel Byrne's character in particular. And like even in like one of the opening scenes where he's with Leo and Leo's like, I'm gonna fucking do this and that and this and that, and he looks over at Gabriel Byrne, and Gabriel Byrne just is like, should I kill the schmata? And Gabriel Byrne just like shrugs and takes a sip of whiskey, and it's like he doesn't even say anything, and it's quippy, and he's like, all right, fine, like so there's just I don't know, there's like just the right amount of it's kind of comedic and kind of quippy, but it's just the right amount of spice I find to it, because you can totally see this that would take itself too seriously. A movie without the comedy would just be like, I don't know, too much, I think.
Right, but the thing about the comedy in this one is that it's distinctly dark comedy.
And subtle too.
It doesn't.
Well, maybe not. But.
It is very subtle, but it's dark and it's subtle. So it's oftentimes I think you're watching it and you're kind of like, did they just say that? Was that just you know what I mean? Like you're kind of like, well, how did they mean? You know what I mean? Like you're kind of questioning it. You know what I mean? And that's,
this is a double watch movie for sure. This is like a movie where
I think you're questioning it in this. I think you're questioning it in the sense that like because it's dark, you're like, wait a second, was that funny? Was that supposed to be funny? Should I be laughing at that? You know what I mean? Like in that sense, you know what I mean? So it's cool in that it makes you think and it keeps you guessing all the time on multiple levels.
Yeah. I think you're saying that it was kind of a stage play. It kind of resonates because like for whatever reason in particular, the like Italian gangsters getting the upper hand, so the cops go and bust up the Irish, speakeasies and vice versa. So like the first speakeasy is the Italian guy getting his speakeasy beat up, and Gabriel Byrne comes out, and there's like the cop the chief leaning up against the car with the matchstick in his mouth. And he's like, these fucking Italians, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's
totally,
just like,
man.
He's super theatrical and bombastic, and then Gabriel Byrne's just like, you guys are never fucking happy. And then like, an hour later, the opposite's happening, and the Irish speakeasy is like, you fucking Irishman. He's just like, you're never happy, dude. Like,
yeah, right.
It's very theatrical and bombastic kind of characters in the out, like surrounding the main characters. The main characters, Gabriel Byrne in particular, is that super dark. And so is Verna. Like, she's super dark. Eddie Dane's super dark. And then
They're all super dark, man.
But like Leo and Casper kind of aren't, the gang leaders are kind of caricatures in a way that I think is quite nice. Like, Casper's kind of a sweaty fucking meatball, and Leo is like, yeah, gotta love her, and he's just kind of a schlubby dude. But you get like Dane and Verna and Reagan and Tom Reagan, they're just like, I don't know, they're like super nihilistic and out to fuck each other over, and maybe that's where it is. That's the balance. You've got some dark characters and some kind of lighter characters. Because like Buscemi is kind of hilarious in his Micro Machines motor mouth way, and Turturro fucking knocks it out of the goddamn park. Like, this is his best performance by fucking 6 miles. Like, it's unbelievably good. But it's also kind of schmucky, like he's also not, I don't know. He's also kind of silly. No, Turturro, Bernie Birnbaum.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Dude, Bernie Birnbaum, like Turturro's Bernie Birnbaum is like unbelievably good. Like, he should have got a fucking Oscar nom for that. Like, So good.
I agree. It was excellent.
But like Casper and Leo are fucking hilarious, dude. Maybe Casper in particular. He's like, my kid is so fucking smart. Did you see that? He's shot. What did you eat? He's like, I had a hot dog. He's like, did you eat anything else? With mustard. You know?
Yeah.
Pick a hand, kid. Pick a hand. Where's the penny? You know, and the kid picks the same hand twice. He's like, gotta get the fuck out of here. The kid comes back later. He's like, Daddy, the teacher did this, and he smacks the shit out of him.
I know, that was
who
great.
Who hit you? Did somebody hit you?
And then he goes, oh.
So good, dude. Oh my God.
Yeah,
it's just
it
so
really
funny.
is. John Polito, man.
It's great.
I just love him, man. I have always loved him. He's, we've never seen like a, X starring John Polito, and everybody's like, oh my God, he's never been one of those actors, but he's always been there, bringing the thunder, man. And he brings so much to every role that he does. Everything that I've seen him in.
I can't place him in anything else. Like what?
Oh man.
What else would we know him from?
Well, he played Marcio, the landlord / superintendent of the building in Seinfeld.
All right. Your classic fallback.
My classic fallback, because everybody's been in it. He was in it, and it was when Jerry was wearing that man fur that he found in the tree, and Newman was sleeping with his character's wife. So it was really funny, and the character that he played was really funny, and it was, very, kind of similar to Casper, like bombastic and really high energy and that kind of thing, but really, really funny, man. Funny. Just he's a funny guy.
Super
and
funny.
He's just got great energy, like he's so intense in this movie, man. He's all over the place, but his intensity is just incredible, dude. Like he can be like kind of scary and super intense and in your face and just great. I mean, The only thing I ever remembered about this movie was the trailer from way back in the day when he was like, "Bring me Bertie Bad Bob."
Yeah.
Because it's such a funny name. Yeah. Hang on one second. So yeah, really, really enjoyed John Polito a lot.
Yeah, dude. I couldn't picture anyone else in this role. Like, it's just the right amount of comedy and just the right amount of crazy. Like, you buy that he would fucking kill you. But that he also gets nervous and does stupid, meatball shit, like, that's funny.
Yeah.
Like, he's the kind of guy who's, like, a bit of a meatball, and, like, you could see the world where his guys laugh at him behind his back, but they never would do it to his face because he'd fucking cut their dicks off. Like, he's just crazy enough to, like, you don't cross him, But he's kind of schmucky, too. It's just, man, it's perfection.
Yeah, unfortunately, we lost John in 2016.
Yeah, dude, I was checking on a lot of these peeps, and so many of them are gone. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah, but he was a big Coen brothers favorite. He was in Miller's. He was in Barton Fink.
Yeah.
Hudsucker.
I need to revisit Barton Fink. It's been a while.
Lebowski.
Was he in Lebowski? What was he in Lebowski?
Said Private Investigator DeFino.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember who that was.
That's where I know him from. I mean, obviously, it's another Coen brothers, and they use the same people, but...
The Man Who Wasn't There. He's been in almost all of them, man.
Love it.
Yeah, he's great.
So good.
I'm trying to think what I know him from back in the day. The Freshman, for sure. Highlander, he was in Remo Williams.
The Remo Williams that we did, or like a TV show?
Correct, Chad.
Really?
The very same. Yes, he was in The Crow. I remember him as Gideon in The Crow.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's been all over the place, TV and film, man. I mean, he's in tons and tons and tons of films. The list here is like 8 miles long.
There you go.
So...
What about Leo, man? Albert Finney. I don't really know him from anything, but I love him in this, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
He's pretty
prolific.
Pretty prolific, man. Yeah, he's been around, dude. He's regarded as a really, really great actor. I mean, he was in Skyfall, James Bond Skyfall, and yeah.
Erin Brockovich is probably where I remember him from. But, like, I mean, this is what I really remember him from.
Really?
Yeah.
I think Bourne is, for me, what I really remember him from. But, I remember, I didn't see Big Fish, but it was like him and Ewan McGregor.
Wasn't the chief from Super Troopers the main Bourne dude in the first Bourne? Am I misremembering that? The dad from Succession.
If you could somehow be more vague, then I could answer your question.
You remember that comedy movie that we always talk about that you've still never seen to this day? Do you remember the actor that was in that?
Exactly.
Brian Cox.
Nope. Yeah, no.
Wasn't
Brian Cox? Yeah, Brian Cox was.
He was in the first one, wasn't he?
He was in the first two.
Okay. I love me.
So yeah, he
I
was
love
in
Brian
there.
Cox.
But Finney was in the third one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
But
I'm so
he's been
delighted
around.
by the Irish gangsters thing here. Like my dad is from the Departed kind of part of Boston, like Dorchester and Boston. Like he's from that old school Irish gangster area.
Yep.
So I've always had a bit of a fascination for the Irish gangster stuff. It's just such a weird historical piece.
Sure.
That the fact that there's it's Irish versus Italian mobsters in this is just, I don't know, an extra bit of sauce that I'm into.
100%. I think it's cool. I think I'm a big fan of. I'm a huge fan of any movie that Ed Zwick does, and he did Legends of the Fall. And there's a lot of
It's Ed Zwick,
a
the
good
editor
little
or something.
No, he's a director. He did.
Oh right, I thought you were
he
saying
did Glory.
He
He
did, Legends of the Fall is
Blood
fucking amazing.
Great. So he also did Glory. He did Blood Diamond. Like those are excellent movies.
Right.
So there was a big Irish gangster kind of component to Legends of the Fall.
Yeah, there was the Prohibition dudes.
The two brothers that like ran all the booze,
yeah.
in Montana. It was like a good enough glimpse there.
Yeah,
I thought that was good.
For sure. And then you've obviously got like the Gangs of New York shit and Departed and all that kind of stuff more recently.
Yeah, 100%. But I feel like the Italian mob stuff kind of, I don't know, it seems to like come to the forefront more.
Yeah.
Even though somehow the Irish gangs depicted in all of those movies seem quite a bit more ruthless.
Yeah, I think we're just coming off the Godfather stuff, like.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's almost like back in the day, like, our parents, or at least, whatever, our parents' generation was all cowboys and Indian stuff, Westerns, and then society kind of went off the Western into other stuff. And I feel like,
True.
When we were younger, the Italian mobster thing was just the thing. That was the mobster trope at the time.
No doubt, man. Because all that shit came out right around the time we were born.
Goodfellas and Casino and stuff when we were teenagers and
Well,
stuff.
yeah. I mean, shit. It was so popular, man. All those movies were so popular.
Yeah. I mean, it's the attraction to, power and
Crime.
all kinds of crime and glamour and weird shit. It's like pre-video game GTA. You could like live vicariously through a bunch of psychopaths without going on a rampage of your own.
Man. Yeah, there you go. Go on your own rampage. Now for only $19.95.
Gabriel Byrne, man, I don't know, man. He just absolutely hammered it.
Love this dude, man. I think I don't know. My first kind of big exposure of him was had to be Usual Suspects, which came out like.
I was late to the party on that one. I missed it by about 5 years, I think.
Did you really?
Yeah, like I mean, it wasn't like the Pearl Jam thing for you or whatever, but it was just like. I don't know. I think I just missed it, and then eventually people were like, "Dude, you gotta check it out," and it didn't spoil it, So I didn't end up getting spoiled, and definitely enjoyed it. Like it's great. It's a great flick.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see. I just want to see when it came out.
I want to say like 93, 4, I don't know, 5, 95. I love Del Toro in that one. His fucking mumbly Fenster.
Oh shit, he's so damn
so good, dude. Yeah, it was 95. I don't know if I know Byrne from much other than Suspects, but I mean that's such a legendary movie. Like,
oh shit, I know what my first movie was that I saw that I loved that I've seen so many times. Is The Point of No Return with Bridget Fonda, which is really it's an interesting movie because it's a remake of Luc Besson's La Femme Nikita, which is the movie that comes technically. After The Professional, which was done by Luc Besson, you know what I mean? Yeah. So there was it kind of had a whole, somewhat of a, like, El Mariachi kind of.
What was it called again? The one that you're talking about with Gabriel Byrne?
Point of No Return. So he played, like, the kind of the handler of, like, Bridget Fonda played the.
I remember the Bridget Fonda Femme Nikita.
Yeah, the sort of runaway drug addict girl that gets taken in and turned into a killer. But
I totally remember this movie.
And I watched it like 1,000 times.
Same.
It was totally like a Hey Beastmaster's on kind of movie. But
I didn't realize. Wow, yeah. Looking at this now, I mean, it's got Juliette Lewis is fucking sexy dad in it. Harvey Keitel and Bancroft. It was pretty solid.
Wait,
Remember we were
Jeffrey Lewis is in Point of
Jeffrey
No
Lewis.
Return?
Yeah, we were joking about
Jeffrey
Juliette Lewis.
Lewis's eyebrows?
Was just like, yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I think, so that was the first movie, my exposure to him, and then it was definitely Usual Suspects. Both of those movies, I mean, Usual Suspects, I don't know if it did well, but it definitely had a major buzz.
Oh, dude.
Like,
Usual Suspects is like
it was sort of the
it's like a
underground
classics
it
classic.
movie, right?
Inarguably considered a broad cultural classic, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And then he did I remember he was in Enemy of the State, End of Days with Arnold. You know, he did a bunch of stuff. I mean, he's like, when you look at the list of credits, it's just like multiple movies in every single year, you know, like 2 in 83, you know, 3 or 4 in 87. Like he did a lot of movies. He was around a lot.
He's playing Ferrari in the new Lamborghini movie, which I think I heard about.
The Man Behind the Legend.
Yeah, I'd like to check that out.
It came out last year, so go for it.
Yeah. It was like Ford versus Ferrari. That was really good. Did you see that one?
No, I have access to a copy of that, and I still have not yet watched it.
That was good.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, in this, I don't know, like, he's just such a, I don't know, smooth lush. Like, this is such a great character, man.
He is. What do you mean? The character of Tom or Gabriel Byrne?
Tom, yeah.
Or both? Yeah.
Yeah, he's just...
Yeah, he is he is a bit of a lush, but it's really overshadowed because he plays everything so razor sharp, you know? He does get this shit knocked out of him like 800 times in this movie.
But I love the dichotomy of him being like so sharp, like so good at, you know, fighting the fight and so bad at gambling. Like, it's so funny, dude.
Yes.
Like, he's just like... He is the fucking ultimate Ronin, fucking get shit done, behind the scenes, fucking machinations, politics, fucking killing people, all that. Just like, he's so clever and quick, and then just fucks up everything he bets on to the point where everyone's like, dude, the horse you bet on got fucking shot, you know? It's so funny, dude. The one, I never pictured it, but Mr. fucking Noodle from Sesame Street comes off the shoe shine rack and is like,
right,
you know, he's like, I put 50 on fucking blah 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 on the nose, and he's like, I wouldn't want to be a horse that you bet on, man. They fucking kill me, you know. Like, it's so funny, dude.
Yeah, right.
I love that about the Coens is they just write such rich characters, and it's so simple. Like the sharp Irish lush dude who is a bit of a fuck up with gambling. Like, it's such a simple sounding thing, but it's so delightful. God damn it, I used it again. We should have a delightful death.
Yeah, well, you're going to have a delightful death because you're the only one that says it. And we have one listener, at least, that
thinks it's hilarious how much I use it. Yeah, well, there you go. This one's for you.
Yeah, there you go. I think
who is it?
I'll use it's Funk Bagus.
This one's for you, Funk Bagus.
I'll use that as a segue into the writing for a second because I was reading about how
Funky Bilbo Baggins.
Well, no, just like where no. Where they drew inspiration from this movie, because I noticed when I had gone on IMDb, it said written by Joel and Ethan and Dashiell Hammett, and Dashiell Hammett, of course, is he's one of the great like original kind of noir writers. You know, he wrote a lot of great stuff for radio. Sam Spade was one of his big characters, and he was like a private detective, you know, that kind of thing. And you know, in doing some further reading, you know, it turns out that, you know, they drew heavily from his 1931 novel, The Glass Key, and then another one as well, which is called Red Harvest. So this is definitely pulled straight out of Prohibition era.
Yeah, noirish stuff.
Literature. And, you know, Dashiell Hammett was one of the greats. So,
yeah.
You know, pulling characters and dialogue out of Dashiell Hammett, I think that's where, you know, a lot of that greatness comes from. And, of course, they certainly kind of made it their own, which is very cool. So they're not totally cribbing off one of the greats, you know, but just an interesting thing because that Dashiell Hammett stuff, along with the Raymond Chandler stuff, is really like the original kind of, trench coat detective.
Yeah.
Those two guys made that trench coat detective popular and, really wrote a lot of the noir and proto-noir stuff that came out between like, sort of the 30s and the 50s. So really, really interesting to read that.
Sure, yeah, and I could even see like them pulling from some of that like original 1930s or whatever era Scarface stuff too. Like there's that, I'm just super unfamiliar with that whole era, and would love to be more familiar with it. I know you've done a ton of stuff in that space and read some of those screenplays and stuff, but
well, I've watched some of those movies and they're really great to watch. Like when I was finally forced to sit down and watch one of them, like, cause it never, like watching old movies was never like my first choice. But when I was like hanging out with a friend of mine, when I used to do the other podcast, right? And we sat down to watch Double Indemnity and I was like, all right, and I was like, wow, this is really fucking good, man.
Sure.
Like you wouldn't think it, you think like older movies and the acting's different. It's this, that, and the other thing. But yeah, but the noir genre, like it really, like its real sort of heyday was like kind of late 40s, into the 50s. And it was like it wasn't so much that like the movies were filmed in black and white or that they were dark. It was like they were dark in their tone, man. That's what really branded them that noir quality, man, was that, they weren't movies that had happy endings. Like everything up until then had, was like, nice and sunny and bright and everything got, tied up in a nice little bow. These stories were, a lot of them were post-war stories, post-war films, and they were very dark in their tone and they did not have happy endings. And a lot of the characters were deplorable people, man.
Which makes sense considering the war influencing the creativity space. Like it makes total sense.
100%, man. And it was also where we finally saw like women not being portrayed as like these weepy damsels that couldn't do shit on their own, like these like killers, like, real femme fatales, man, like, were scheming and doing things. And it was very, very cool and very, very interesting. And I was going somewhere very cool with that, and I lost my train of thought.
No, you were saying that you didn't have a lot of experience watching it, but when you were forced to sit down and watch it,
yes, when I was forced to sit, yes, exactly. So that's what all that stuff is really about. And when I sat down and really watched, a couple of the movies, I was like, wow, this is really, really good stuff, man. So my scope isn't like super broad. It's really just that I soaked up a lot of knowledge from my co-host on the other show, who was incredibly knowledgeable about all of that stuff and really kind of taught me all about it,
Yeah.
So yeah, really, really interesting stuff, man.
It's super interesting.
And now you can actually find a lot of those movies are available like on HBO and on, some of these other places. Like they're putting those old movies back up there, man. Yeah, and they're good, man. I actually bought a DVD of like old noir movies. I'll have to rip them up and upload them. So you guys can watch them, man, because it's good stuff. Anyway,
just thinking about it, it's like my parents' movies, the movies of my parents' generation is like the Deer Hunter, Apocalypse Now, all that kind of stuff. Maybe a little bit earlier into this 60s stuff, into the 70s stuff, and like.
Sure.
This stuff is like my grandfather's movies, like my grandfather did a tour in fucking Italy and like had a poker night with the boys and cigars and, was in the fucking bowling league and like about as all American as you can get. And
totally.
you can, and like his, his favorite music was Sinatra, and like you could see him wearing like a suit and a hat and he always had he was always chewing on a cigar like fucking Arnie, you know what I mean? And like,
totally.
You can totally see how this era of film or whatever was just like, I don't know. It was just something about like you could totally see how like you want to be Tom Reagan. You want to be the guy that's really badass and has a drink and attracts the ladies and fucking all that kind of stuff. Like as a young man, I could see you take the good bits out of the gangster movies and leave the psychopathic murder stuff out of it. Like it's interesting how they affect the culture. And I totally see how like my grandfather would have watched all the old noir movies and been super infatuated with it, and idolized the fucking hard boiled cops and stuff. It's funny. And now that I'm older, I'll stop being like, I'm my own man, my own generation. I'm gonna fucking listen to Nirvana. It's like, no, you can experience some of the shit that your dad and granddad did and kind of learn from it. So I'm with you. I'd like to check out some of the old shit.
Yeah, it's worth it for sure. Sorry, I just started looking at.
Sort of watching a noir movie.
No, I wanted to see. I feel like we did another movie that Marcia Gay Harden was in, and I can't remember what it was.
I don't think.
Well, I don't know. I'm looking through her list of credits.
She was fucking so good in this, dude.
She's so good in this, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we didn't do Into the Wild, which would be one of the only other ones I really know her from.
Oh shit! This was her first movie, man.
I definitely saw that was one of her earliest ones. Yeah, interesting.
No, it is the
right.
first, and it was her breakthrough movie as well.
I mean, she hit her home run. Like, she's just so...
Oh, my God.
Like, to your point, she's not a femme fatale and she's not weepy. She's, like, somewhere in between.
Yeah, agreed.
And you just, like... It's the one thing I like is that it's unclear if she's scheming at all. Well, that's not true.
Yes.
She schemes a little bit with Leo, but it's unclear if it's just, like... taking advantage of a little situation like a white lie versus her brother who's a fucking, like, you know, piece of shit, you know? Like, she doesn't strike me as a piece of shit, even though it's kind of implied that she's a schemer.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, you know, Tom Gabriel Byrne is just like, you're a grifter, you know? It's like, he's kind of like being sarcastic, but kind of not about her, you know?
Okay.
Like, I don't know. I like her character is kind of unknown whether she is or isn't.
I think you just kind of nailed the kind of killer combo of her in this movie. Yeah. It's a strength of the entire movie,
Yeah.
but, and her doing it is, wow, I can't formulate any sentences all of a sudden.
She did a good job of it.
I agree with it. Yeah. She did a great job of it. I mean, I think one of the great things in the movie in general is that you're really just kind of unsure what's going on, when what's happening, and who's doing what. You know, even with Tom, who's the central sort of the locus of the movie. And certainly with her, you know, you can't quite tell.
Yeah.
Other than you know what Tom knows, and you know, she obviously misinterprets that. She thinks that he kills Bernie and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then she finds out at the end that, you know, in fact, he did not do it, you know.
But that scene where she confronts him with the pistols, like, she's obviously like, I'm going to fucking kill this guy. He killed my brother, but she also loves him, you know, which is kind of unclear up until that point. So, But I guess, you know, just coming back to what you said a second ago, like, it's clear who the bad guys are. In some instances, and there are no good guys necessarily, but I like that there's a few anchors, you know, like Eddie Dane's obviously an asshole, you know, and Casper's obviously a bad guy, and Leo maybe, but like, you don't know about Tom and Verna, and like, the fact that you don't know where to put them is definitely an intriguing piece, you know. It's almost like a little mini mystery in there. It's like, are they good, are they bad, are they scheming, are they using each other, are they not, or do they love each other? Like, you know, it's cleverly done. Yes, no doubt, man. It's clever.
Just sitting on Dane for a second.
Dude, he's great.
J.E. Friedman, dude, he's another one of these guys. He's like been around forever. He was in Alien Resurrection.
Yeah, the Doctor, right?
Yeah, he played the Doctor, and he was in. I never forgot him from. I know that you haven't seen this, and I've referenced it numerous times. Wild at Heart, the David Lynch film starring Nick Cage, which we definitely need to do.
Sure,
he plays the kind of assassin. I guess he's like an assassin that they send after Nick Cage's character, and he's just super memorable. He's just got a really interesting look and disposition and energy that he brings to all of these roles. He was actually in Patriot Games, the Jack Ryan movie.
Yeah,
nobody wants to watch.
The machine is still on, Laura.
Yeah. So yeah, he's been around. He's been in tons and tons and tons of stuff, and he's excellent, man. And he was really great in this. He had a really large role too, which I loved, man. And he was, you know, pretty fucking ruthless, dude.
Yeah, hardcore.
You know?
Yeah,
definitely, dude. Freaking hardcore guy.
Hard fucking core. Yeah. Wicked pisser.
Hard fucking core. So, all right. What else? You want to keep
Yeah, let's keep casting, dude. Turturro,
grinding?
Bernie Birnbaum.
All right, yeah, let's talk about Bernie Birnbaum,
Dude.
and then let's like start heading down the
Yeah.
barrel.
We'll head down the
barrel
path. We'll
towards the end.
chase our hat down the path.
There you go.
Turturro, I think, like, for me, like, Turturro is just like a soppy little weak shithead in the chair breaking into Tom's place, and he's like a schemer and a fucking weakling. And then he goes out into the woods and he's like, look into your house, you know, like crying and fucking, I'm praying, you know, and fucking that twist is an interesting twist.
Yeah.
And then him just being in the apartment again, being like, yeah, I was thinking, you know, it's good for me if I'm back here, you know. It's just like, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's just such a great character piece. Like, it's not even an arc for him. He doesn't change. He's just, well, maybe he does. Like, you start off not knowing. Like, as the audience, you're like, I don't know if he's good or bad. And then as time goes on, it's just like, nah, he's just like a black-hearted piece of shit, you know?
Well, he is, and it's like, it's interesting how like Tom saves his life, and then he quickly just completely flips it around on him, and now he completely owns Tom.
Yeah.
You know, and like I just thought that was really cool.
It was super
and
cool.
really interesting.
And like I think in particular I enjoyed the last moments where he's just like, he's playing the game, like he's looking for an angle to Turo, and then at the end, you know, Tom's like, yeah, now you got to take the fall, and it's like, that doesn't make any sense, you know, like he doesn't even compute the revenge angle or the like, fuck you, you're fucking me, so I'm gonna shoot you angle. He's just like,
yeah,
he's just focusing on the con man aspect of it, and I just love, I love that. And
absolutely,
you know, they get the second look into my heart, and just I like that they showed the execution. You know, it was, you know, like the initial execution where he doesn't shoot him. I forgot that it cuts back to him opening his eyes and realizing he's not shot, and then in the finale, like the actual execution, like they show that they cut to it as well, and I like that.
Yeah,
it's just,
I do too.
Yeah. Just
but again,
magic.
didn't see that coming at all, man. I mean, he so had like Tom wrapped around his finger after he saved his life. I never saw it coming. You know,
great.
And again, he goes like he kind of goes and turns into like this sort of cocky shitbag once he realizes he has Tom in his pocket, and then like he very quickly goes back to like the weaselly weasel that he is. You know, at the very end, like kind of begging for his life. So yeah, I don't know. It was. Really great character. I mean, what can I say about John Turturro? We've talked about him before, but, you know, just sitting here thinking about him now, like he was in so many movies we did, like Lebowski, Batman.
Dude, Falcone. He's so good in Falcone recently.
Oh, my God, man. I mean, when I think about the scope of the characters that he's done, you know, and the ones that popped into my head were Falcone, not really Lebowski, because he has a very small role in that, but even still,
it's pretty
you
iconic,
could include that. Yeah, absolutely, man. Like Rounders, he's in Rounders. I'm a huge fan of that movie. Also, Anger Management, he's hysterically funny in that, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like he'll do like these little small supporting roles, and he'll do these large roles, and he'll do just about anything, and he'll bring like 1,000% A game.
Yeah,
he's can carry a movie as easily as he can blend in and be a character actor in an ensemble, man. And he's just so great. And I think that what I just said is what really makes him one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt.
Bar fucking none.
Yeah, he is definitely in that book for me, for sure.
Right? I mean, it's like he stars in Barton Fink, you know, and then he's got like this teeny little part in Lebowski.
Yeah, he's an old brother.
He's like, he's an old brother. He's got like this really small part in Anger Management with Adam Sandler, and he's part of the anger group, you know, but he's so memorable, man. You know, like I still say that thing that he says in Anger Management. His big thing is he goes, goose fraba when he's trying to calm down and not freak out and get pissed at people. It's so funny, man. So, yeah, he's an American icon, an American legend.
He's so good. He's so good.
This just accentuates that point, man.
Yep, no doubt. I think to wrap up the cast, Mike Starr as the big Goomba fucking dude alongside Tic Tac.
Oh, Frenchie, dude. Totally, from Goodfellas, man. Yeah, Mike Starr is great.
Also from from Dumb and Dumber.
And the best Steven Seagal movie
Ooh,
on
do
Deadly
tell.
Ground. Yeah. The Alaskan Oil movie.
That's it.
Yeah, really, really great. Anyway, Mike Starr is, I don't know, he's another one of those guys. He's just got a certain look to him, man. Very memorable.
Yeah,
and,
he's a big lug.
Yeah, big lug. He shows up everywhere, and he's great, dude. He's so great in Goodfellas,
The
man.
scene where Tom goes to see Casper, and Casper fucking gives him the check, and he's like, "I'll think about it."
Yeah.
And he goes, slowly takes off his jacket and hangs it up and comes over, and Tom's just like, "Yeah, hang on a second." Hits him with the chair. Just right in the face of the chair. He's like, "Jesus Christ, Tom." It's so good, dude. And just like, it's like he's going to start crying and just fucking walks off. Oh, it's just so, so good.
Yeah,
There's so many scenes like that, dude. Maybe to transition into bits and bobs, like,
yeah, it's fine. Go for it.
I don't know, like the scene with Leo and the Oh Danny boy and the fire and the Tommy gun is like, fuck me. It's so good, dude. It's so
good.
It is just like the embodiment of my like imagination of a 30s era gangster. Fucking just, he just lays fucking waste. He puts his slippers on, is shooting the shit out of the guy. Shoots the guy from down below, and the guy's like shooting his own toes in the ceiling and stuff, and lights up the fucking Ford, crashes into a car, and then lights his cigar off the smoking Tommy gun. Like, it's just like the most iconic fucking scene, dude. Oh my God.
No, it was great. He doesn't like what I liked about that was that, so often you see like these guys that are these mob bosses, right? Like they come up through the ranks, right? And it's like, they were, they started off as just like goons, and then they turn into these enforcers,
and then
Gambinos, and then they eventually right, and then eventually they're like running the show. But what you typically see is like the boss.
He's like a Brando. He's like, give me another donut.
Kind of, yeah. And then like, they don't really do anything, and then they just get wasted behind their desk or whatever in their bed. And it's like it was so great to see him smell the smoke and then put the cigar out, grab the gun, get under the bed immediately. Like he wasted no time whatsoever.
Yeah, he still got it.
As soon as they walked in the door, he shot the guy in the foot and then shot him in the head, rolled out, grabbed the Tommy gun, jumped out the window immediately. Like, it was like there was no hesitation whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it was that I thought that's what made the scene really great for me. You know what I mean? It
total
wasn't
control, man. Total control.
Yeah, and there wasn't all this like stupid freaking movie
wrestle fighting
Hollywood
bullshit.
It was just like, it's exactly what somebody like that would do. And then he jumps down to the ground, the car drives by, and he just unloads the rest of the clip. And as a quick side note, I don't know what it is about a Tommy gun with a drum clip. But
so cool.
It's just so great, man.
It's totally a movie trope because like Tommy guns were like the worst fucking weapons in the world. Evidently, they jammed up like a motherfucker.
Oh my God.
But
yeah, right.
It is so iconic. So iconic. Like, it's like the fucking lightsaber before there was lightsabers, dude. Like,
it is. It really is. And I can't remember. I know what the name of that gun is. It's not a Tommy gun.
It's a Thompson machine gun.
I can't remember. That's it. It's a Thompson.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no. There's some other.
I think you're right. The drum clip on it or whatever has got a specific name, but I mean, I'm not at all.
No, I'm thinking of because they used it. It was used in the war first.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Oh, no, I guess I'm wrong, dude. Blowback operated selective fire submachine gun invented by United States Army Brigadier General John T. Thompson.
I love it. He definitely had a cigar in his mouth.
Yup.
Yeah, that's definitely a major highlight of this movie, is that fucking scene. And then there's like, the shooting up the speakeasy, throws the flaming like Molotov cocktail and blows the place up, and body flies out, and then come out with your hands up.
800 guys blow the shit out of it.
Just fucking lace him up, dude.
Right?
And then all the cops get laced up. I don't know. There's just the right amount of action in this. It's not an action movie, but there's just a little bit of action.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other two action sequences are like the speakeasy's getting. It's the barroom brawl stuff where Tom just like walks in and out with the cops, and he's just like strolling through the fucking middle of a barroom brawl. So good. You got any other scenes?
Was the Molotov cocktail one? That was the same scene where like then they just like there were 800 guys outside
Yeah.
just blowing the cops blowing the shit out of that.
Yeah, the one cop shoots
That
the guy
social
that comes
club?
out, and then the couple dudes with Thompsons inside lace the cops up, and then it's just a huge fucking gunfight.
Right, and then they even bust out like a
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah, like a World
like a
War
Gatling gun.
I era machine gun.
yeah,
or
it's a
something.
Gatling
Yeah.
gun, straight up Gatling gun, dude. A mounted tripod mounted
Yeah,
Gatling
yeah.
gun. That was crazy. I don't know. In terms of other scenes, I don't know. Just John Polito in general was just sort of so memorable in this movie, man. And I just love that he has such a huge part in it, you know?
Yeah,
I don't know. And, you know, all those scenes really were super memorable to me.
his two Goomba
the
cousins in the mayor's office.
Yeah. But like the scene where he ends up hitting the Dane in the face with the shovel
Oh,
or
yeah,
the
yeah.
fireplace shovel. And like that scene in particular really jumped out at me as just being really good and kind of brutal, and just like John was just so intense in that scene, like the sweating and the
Yeah.
oh my god, it was crazy, man.
No doubt.
Yeah.
There was another one, the one that's just like probably one of the most beautiful shots in any movie that I've ever seen is the very early in the film where it's just like a dog in an alleyway with its head turned, and then it cuts to the kid, the like newsy looking, and then it cuts to the fucking dead guy with the toupee, and then the kid runs off with the toupee. Like that little 1 minute scene is just like a fucking Norman Rockwell-esque level of quality. Like it's a beautiful little scene.
If Norman Rockwell was like, you know,
Dark as
drawing
fuck.
pictures of
Yeah.
brutal murder.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's like a play on, it's a play on Rockwell. It's just, that's just unbelievable cinematography. It's like a 30-second scene. It's like one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah, really, really good.
Super good. What else? The boxer dude. I like the scene where Tom goes and confronts the boxer, and he's like eating his fucking Wheaties, and the dude puts the little hat on his head. You know, he kind of had the. There's a lot. There's a lot here.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There is a lot there for sure. I didn't even really, aside from like the Dashiell Hammett stuff, I didn't really get into any like kind of trivia or whatever.
Nah, there wasn't a lot. I mean, there was a shitload of stuff, but nothing was overly interesting. Yeah, if anyone here is listening and hasn't seen this movie, it's fucking good, dude.
See it.
It's really good. Nuggets test ratings, no nuggets. You give me any nuggets? The writing style of the Coens was probably the only interesting thing that I pulled out of this.
Yeah, the Dashiell Hammett thing, and the other thing that you brought up. This is kind of interesting, man. John Polito was originally offered the role of Eddie Dane, but he campaigned for the part of Johnny Casper, and I cannot imagine it.
Such
if
a
it
good
was
call.
the other way around, you know. And then I guess the Dane was originally written for Peter Stormare. It was going to be named the Swede, but he declined as he was.
Dude, Stormare's amazing, man.
He's so crazy. I was just watching
Best devil ever in Constantine.
Wick 2 or Wick 3. He was in that as the brother of the original Russian guy.
Oh, he was
from
too.
The first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's just he's interesting.
Yeah, dude. Like I said, the devil in Constantine, best devil ever.
Apparently, the Coen brothers were offered Batman, but they turned it down because they were doing this.
That's interesting.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, super weird. It's super weird how much of that shit you hear, you know, like such and such could have taken this role but didn't. And you're just like, oh, wow, I couldn't even imagine that.
Right? Couple more. This was the first collab they did with Steve Buscemi and John Turturro.
Which is interesting because I really feel like, you know, obviously I'm thankful that they gave those guys a shot and then kind of buoyed their careers by using them in all of their stuff. But man, those two dudes are like, for me, they're just, I love the shit out of them as actors, you know, like they're just such fucking amazing actors. And I feel like it's the Coen thread that really got them off the ground, you know, not to say anything against their talents, but like, it's just the opportunities, you know?
Yeah, I would say the same. I would definitely say the same thing. The last thing too, which is kind of interesting, is that Turturro based his performance on the film's cinematographer Barry Sonnenfeld.
Yeah, which was interesting. I was like, I need to go watch some interviews of this guy to see like what they're talking about, and I couldn't pick it.
Well, there's more to it than that. Like it's interesting too. Like the sort of the nugget off the nugget is that Barry Sonnenfeld got his career start as a cinematographer for the Coen brothers, and then he broke off and started directing on his own.
Yeah.
And did a whole bunch of, really popular movies.
Like
the Men in Black series and, that kind of stuff.
Your favorite, drag the desk across the thing to do the test. Men in Black.
Best of the best of the best with honors.
Yeah,
That's
right.
right.
Yeah, I'm just checking out Sonnenfeld here now. Yeah, he did a bunch of like blockbustery stuff, Adam's Family Values, and
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I saw that too, and didn't get the connection, but I'm sure there's something there. Did you mark down any deaths, sir?
I did not, because there were none.
Sure they were.
Sure.
Guarantee you there was ejections in this motherfucker. Some 18-inch rims on the motherfucker.
18-inch rims.
Get Shorty. I mean, that's a non-blockbustery cult classic.
Yeah, but definitely a,
Yeah, now. Ratings?
kind
Kinda.
of ratings.
Barry
let's
Sonnenfeld
see.
nugget. He has a private bathroom designed to look like a public bathroom, complete with stalls and urinals in his house in New York.
There you go.
That's the weirdest nugget I've ever shared.
Wait, he has a private bathroom designed to look like a public bathroom?
In his house. Why would you do that?
That's really weird.
I feel like he does that just so he can come in while his wife's taking a dump and look at her through the crack in the door.
Right?
Also the weirdest thing I've ever said on the show. Ratings.
Ratings.
I'll go first.
Go.
This movie is not a 5. This
dude.
This movie
Better not
currently
be.
holds the number 2 spot all time out of any movie in existence. And it is one of 6 9.5s, which is the highest score I've ever given to a movie.
Wow.
I mentioned at the opening that I don't know how I feel about that because of how I had to cram for the show. I think I would knock it down to the bottom of the list of 9.5s, but I'm going to leave it alone just because I think I was, in an analytic headspace as opposed to an enjoy it headspace. But to me, this movie is one of the best movies ever made. Like, it's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's not a 5.
It's, what is it?
A 9.5.
It's a 9.5, folks. You heard it here first. Let's see. This movie, it was great to revisit. It was really like watching it for the first time because I don't remember anything about it. And it was excellent. It's Dashiell Hammett. It's noir. It's Coen's. It's great dialogue. It's excellent acting by a group of just excellent actors. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'll rate it a 9.67
Nice.
for no reason whatsoever. It should just be a 10.
9.67.
I'll you know what I will attribute the 0.67. No real music in the film, which I found sort of interesting, and
But the kind of Irish little jingle that kind of goes through, I liked a lot. Was it strings? I know it was like clarinets or something. It was like the ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum,
yeah, there is some, but I mean, it's super
very minimalist. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Brick. You remember how Brick just had that little twang?
Yeah, that's interesting.
And that was also a kind of neo-noir.
Mm-hmm.
Word, dude. 9.67, yeah. Rock and roll.
Yeah, so
Hoochie coo.
good stuff. Hoochie coo. Really great. Really, really great. Anyway, so that's that. What are we doing next week?
Benny was talking about the new D&D movie. Do you want to do the new D&D movie?
Is it available to
It looks like
rent
it is
or whatever?
available, yeah.
Yeah. I am down to do D&D. I'm down to rag on D&D.
Let's nerd the fuck out with some D&D.
Let's nerd the fuck out, man. There you have it, folks. Next week. No, you're supposed to say it.
Next week, we're rolling a 20-sided fucking die.
Yeah, there you go.
Putting on our nerdy fucking cosplay costumes.
I'm going to wear my D&D t-shirt the whole time we're recording, which is
wear
perfect for the audio medium of podcasting.
I'm going to wear my fucking level 73 paladin onesie.
Oh, my God. Wow. There you have it, folks. Level 73 paladin onesie. adult sized.
There you go.
And that's it.
Triple XL. That's
Yeah.
it.
Thanks for joining us for Miller's Crossing. We'll see you next week for Dungeons and Dragons.
Blurg.
Later.
See ya.
And that's going to wrap up this week's episode, folks. If you'd like to check out the show notes for this week's episode, you can do so in your podcast app of choice or at our website, ebd.fm/episodes/211. If you'd like to support the show, there's a number of great ways that you can do so. You can rate us and review us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Very important thing, because it lets other people know that this is a good show that might be worth checking out. To those that have, we really, really appreciate it. It's a really important part of us growing this show. In addition to that, you can also, as usual, tell your friends to check out the show. We've grown a lot of this show simply by word of mouth. In fact, we've probably grown it exactly to where it is by word of mouth. So we really appreciate that. And then, of course, the third option, which is Patreon. You can always support us directly on Patreon. Patreon.com/EBD podcast. You can join us on Instagram. That's where we spend most of our time. That's it. Thanks for joining us for Miller's Crossing, and we'll see you next week for Dungeons and Dragons. Thanks so much, folks.
One for C-Lab, two for Troy Eagle, three for Wolverine to round out the trio in this episode. Everybody dies.
Beady, beady, beady. Stop it, do it.